Good evening. I'm Maribel Tarouk. A terrifying death last night. A woman died in hospital after being assaulted in an elevator. Police arrested the suspect this morning, but as Natalie Nanowski reports, they're still asking anyone with information to come forward.
I came home from work. I just saw the police officers there, but they were trying to rush people out of the area.
That was around 7 p.m. Authorities were called to this high-rise near Weston and Lawrence after a 66-year-old woman was attacked.
It took place in the elevator and on the way up to a unit.
The suspect entered the building. Police say he used to live there. They wouldn't call the attack random, just said the suspect and the victim didn't have a close relationship.
May have had a loose circle of friends. They may have had some very minor interaction, but they were not well known to each other.
After taping off the entrance of the building and searching the scene, this morning, 49-year-old Carl Hoyes was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. No word yet on a motive or if a weapon was used, but police say the victim had severe head trauma.
We've located a number of CCTV images and camera angles.
The woman was rushed to hospital and later died. Police have identified her as Margaret Cameron. Those living in the area say the building is generally quiet.
I take this as sort of like an isolated incident, just like everything else around here. When there's a shooting or something, it's not necessarily the people that live here, it's people that live somewhere else that come to conduct their business here.
The investigation is ongoing and police are asking anyone who knows the suspect or who may have seen something to contact them. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
2 people have died after a crash near Guelph this morning. It happened on the 401 near Highway 6 just before 3 a.m. Police say 3 vehicles collided. All are badly damaged. The 2 people who died, Ramnath and Padmini Sibachan from Cambridge, were passengers in one of the vehicles. They were 65 and 59 years old. 2 drivers in the crash were also injured. Ontario Provincial Police are investigating. A woman has died after a fire at a North York nursing home. The woman was a resident at the city-run Cummer Lodge. A city spokesperson says there was a fire near the building's lobby last night. The woman was severely burned and was rushed to hospital where she died. Ontario's fire marshal is investigating. With the new year around the corner, Mayor John Tory revealed he is working on a new strategy with Ontario's political leaders to end gun violence.
There are many things we have to do, investing in neighborhoods and kids and families, supporting the police, changing some of the ridiculous application of bail laws. I'm going to be gathering the mayors and police chiefs of the cities around Toronto in the new year to discuss this and see what else we can do.
Tory's comments come in the wake of reports that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will move forward with his plan to let municipalities ban the sale of handguns, even if provinces disagree. So far this year, there have been 71 homicides in Toronto, which is down from the record 96 last year. However, shootings are up across the city. And in Brampton, a suspect is in custody after shooting himself in the leg while trying to steal a puppy. Police say the owner arranged to sell the dog through an online site. When he met up with the potential buyer, the man took the dog, refused to pay, and pulled a gun before running away. That's when he accidentally shot himself in the leg. Police were called and they found the injured man. He was taken to hospital. Tarzan, the puppy, was found safe and returned to his owner. The 20-year-old man is now facing robbery and gun charges. All right, it's time for our first check of the weather for this weekend. And Sonia, what a mild, pleasant day out there.
Aren't you loving it? Great shopping weather, don't you think?
Sure was, yeah.
Absolutely. You know that we are asked most all year long, is it going to be a white Christmas? Well, I'm going to leave you in suspense for just a little bit, but right now our current conditions are at 0 degrees. That is seasonal. And let's take a look at the temperatures for the next couple of hours. So it does build. So as of tonight, it starts to build. We're going to see those plus temperatures. It's going to build to 4, 5 degrees. And then there is more going into our Sunday afternoon. Wind gusts right now are very calm in Toronto. So again, nothing major to report. This is why we have all of that snow being really contained to the north. Toronto, we might see some of that cloud cover. Ottawa, same. Going into Monday, more of the same. So that high pressure system making its way through to the north and making its way through to the south, leaving us very mild, as you mentioned, over the next couple of days. So what does Sunday look like? Again, we're going to be at 5, so above seasonal. Going into our Monday, it's going to be 7, which is fantastic. Will we have that snow? Most likely not. Mainly contained again to the north. And then Toronto, again, very low likelihood of it being a white Christmas, unfortunately. Well, for me, I tend to like that. But
I know.
Great shopping weather.
Well, the kiddos too, I think they wanted snow, but
I know.
Oh well, that's the trade-off. Okay, we'll check with you in a bit. Thanks, Sonia.
Okay, thank you.
It is the most wonderful time of the year, unless you are stuck scrambling for gifts. It also happens to be one of the busiest for shopping.
I didn't want to come to the mall today, but he had to buy his presents. But I ended up buying a lot too. I like walking around, I like browsing window shopping. I feel like it's more effective.
This is last minute shopping. Actually, I'm probably early this year because I usually wait till the very last minute.
It's Christmas, so I just want to get the people I love gifts they'll love.
It is one of the busiest days before Christmas, so there are probably between 70 and 80,000 people that'll come through Yorkdale today.
With just 4 days left until Christmas, those last-minute shoppers flooded into malls right across the GTA this weekend to check those final items off their gift lists. Retail analysts predict more than 25 million transactions will take place the weekend before Christmas, which is about a third of transactions across the country. Well, they came bearing gifts and a whole lot of cheer. We'll tell you how these students are paying it forward a little later in the show. Stay with us. CBC News has learned the RCMP has made 2 arrests in connection with alleged threats made against Justin Trudeau during October's election campaign. Online posts prompted the investigation. The RCMP will say little else, only that the arrests happened in Quebec on Friday and that electronic devices were seized. Over 300 protesters have been killed in Iraq since October, and today, Canadian Iraqis raised their voices in solidarity.
Today, all the Iraqi here in Canada, they are asking the Canadian government to push and to use the Canadian values and humanity rights to push for helping the Iraqi protesters to get their rights in Iraq.
Thousands of Iraqis have demonstrated against state corruption, unemployment, and a lack of basic services. They're also calling for electoral reforms. In addition to those killed, thousands have been injured. Iraqi security forces have used rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse crowds in Baghdad. In India, at least 9 more people are dead as protests escalate against a controversial new citizenship law. Clashes between demonstrators and police have claimed at least 23 lives since they began 10 days ago. CBC's Austin Grabish has more on the violence.
Police firing tear gas at protesters, a fire burning on the street, and a death toll that keeps rising. This woman says, "My son has been detained. He was made to sit in a vehicle and taken away. They said they'll leave him." Indian police say 9 people died Saturday as clashes intensified between demonstrators and officers in the northern part of the country, claiming a total of 23 lives since they began more than 1 week ago. Protesters are fighting a new law that promises to fast-track citizenship for several religious minorities, but not Muslims. Officials say more than 1,500 protesters have been arrested and some 4,000 people were detained and later released. Indian authorities have now shut down phone and internet services in some parts of the country to try and stop these protests. And here at home, officials are now warning Canadians to avoid all non-essential travel in the northeastern part of the country.
So we're feeling concerned. We're a little worried how we're going to land into New Delhi airport and then how we will go to our province.
Nirmal Hari is the editor-in-chief of Punjabi People magazine in Manitoba. He says the protests have captured the attention of his community here and worried people flying home for the winter. Hari says the Indian government has gone way too far.
They have some concerns, they have some doubts. They just want to raise their voice, and then government is coming really forcefully on them.
Back in India, this Director General of Police has a stern warning.
If anyone tries to break the law, if anyone tries to take law into their hands, or they get involved in any violent situation, then they will have it.
But protesters are vowing not to back down. More demonstrations are expected in the coming days. Austin Grabish, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Airstrikes killed at least 8 civilians in Syria's Idlib province today as the government of Bashar al-Assad tries to take the last territory still held by rebels. All this is happening against the backdrop of a dire warning from aid groups. Rebecca Collard has the details.
Sound of the aftermath of yet another airstrike in Syria. Rescue workers with the Syrian Civil Defense, known as the White Helmets, pull civilians from the rubble and carry children from the bomb site. Some are taken away in ambulances. Idlib is the last major territory controlled by opposition forces. A patchwork of de-escalation agreements have kept things temporarily calm there. But the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has made it clear it plans to take back all of Syria.
13 votes in favor, 2 votes against.
Yesterday, Russia, backed by China, blocked a resolution in the United Nations Security Council to allow cross-border aid into Syria for another year. At the moment, UN agencies and aid groups send food, medicine, and other emergency supplies across the border from neighboring Turkey and Iraq. That could stop next month if a new resolution isn't passed. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Kelly Craft, said it was a shock.
There is no justification imaginable for any member of this Security Council leaving vulnerable Syrian civilians with fewer means of securing vital aid.
Russia proposed its own resolution, which would have allowed the cross-border aid to be extended for just 6 months rather than a year and reduce the number of crossing points. Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, said his country was not to blame.
Мы не принимаем упреков, адресованных нам сегодня.
What's most important, I wish to reiterate this. We were ready to extend the mechanism. Do not attempt to sweep this under the rug, he said. While these world powers are debating about these resolutions, there are these millions of people in Idlib that are at greater and greater risk. This offensive seems to be ramping up on the province, and at the same time, they're at risk of losing their only lifeline for aid. Rebecca Collard, CBC News, Beirut.
Conflict-torn Somalia is facing a new disaster, a large infestation of locusts. The insects fall like snow from the sky and hang like beans on plants. They've destroyed 70,000 hectares of crops, threatening food supplies and farmers' livelihoods. The UN says it is the worst infestation in a quarter century. Heavy rain and flooding have helped boost the locust numbers. Soaring temperatures have fueled the deadly wildfires raging in southeast Australia, and conditions are now being described as catastrophic. CBC's Talia Ricci has the latest on the fires that have destroyed 3 million hectares of land and killed at least 9 people.
It's some of the very worst wildfires Australia has seen. Massive flames fueled by temperatures above 40 degrees and winds up to 70 kilometers per hour. A recipe for a dangerous day as more than 100 fires burn across New South Wales.
Here are just a few of the photos.
This woman grabbed a few sentimental items and fled.
I hope my house doesn't burn down, but ultimately a lot of my friends stayed to fight the fires at their house. They can't get out now, so I'm just hoping that they're safe. Like, I can replace my house, I can't replace lives.
Close to 10,000 emergency personnel are working across New South Wales, which authorities say is likely the largest emergency deployment the state has ever seen.
It's very much like a military operation.
Helping hands coming from Canada, too. Around 50 Canadian firefighters have also been deployed to New South Wales, and that's where they'll be spending the holidays.
The first group that came down on December 5th will be going home on January 9th. The group that arrived today will go home January 25th. So we're staying 38, 39 days. This will be my first non-white Christmas. It was 36 degrees today and windy. We've got to remember that it's also the Australians' Christmas, and they're missing their home and families as much as we are.
Some residents are spending the days leading up to Christmas sleeping in a parking garage with their beloved pets in tow.
Yeah, we did it the other night, so it's fine. Uncomfortable, but fine.
The deaths of 2 firefighters on Thursday forced Prime Minister Scott Morrison to cut short his family vacation. He was facing criticism for going on the trip as the crisis worsened.
At very short notice, any of the fire fronts that are active can become very dangerous in a short amount of time.
Australia has been dealing with devastating fires for weeks. And according to the forecast, the weather won't bring any relief in the days ahead. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
It's the winter solstice. We will check in on your weather forecast, plus how Torontonians are celebrating the longest night. Stay with us. Good news for some of the displaced residents of the Gosford Boulevard apartment fire. They haven't been able to go home since a 5-alarm blaze destroyed part of their building more than a month ago. Some of the units are ready to be reoccupied, while many more aren't. And today, some Christmas cheer from a member of the Toronto Raptors. Kelda Yoon reports.
A good sign outside 235 Gosford, a banner welcoming residents back home. The 5-alarm fire back in November killed 1 person, injured 6 others, and displaced about 700.
A total of 26 units have been cleared for residents to move back in. These are units on the 4th, 9th, 12th, and 16th floors. I'm told some of the families moved in earlier this morning.
But for many more, it will be a tough Christmas as they continue to wait. This afternoon, some much-needed cheer. Norman Powell from the Toronto Raptors paid displaced families a visit at the hotel some have been staying at, handing out presents to all the kids and some hugs.
Are you excited?
I am. I always wanted an LOL doll.
Princess Sylvester was particularly surprised.
I feel so happy because I thought I wasn't going to get it, but I actually got it in the end, so I'm so happy.
Why did you think you weren't going to get anything?
I don't know, because there's a lot going on. They have to do a lot of stuff about the building, so maybe they might forget about us.
For Jeremy Adams, the present wasn't the best part.
I was just more excited for Norman Powell.
For me, it's not always about basketball. It's always bigger than a basketball. And from what I do in my community back home in San Diego, and any chance I get out here to give back, that's what means the most to me. It's what was instilled in me as a child with my mom.
Jen Cassugay and her daughter Jaslyn live on the 3rd floor. Their apartment hasn't been cleared yet. She says she's staying patient and that gestures like this do help.
Thank you. It's nice that they have us, especially for the kids, because they don't know what's going on, right? So they literally have no idea what's happening. So
back at the building, security remains tight and work is continuing to get all the other units ready. The city says it hopes most of them will be ready within the next few weeks. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Some students at a Newfoundland high school are saying thank you this holiday season to their elders. CBC's Cecile explains.
Instilling the spirit of generosity and kindness isn't taught inside the classroom. Today it's being taught away from the smart boards. They came to Hillcrest Estate Retirement Home bearing gifts. These students from Mount Pearl Senior High have been on a mission for months, raising money for presents for seniors. And that wasn't all. They even brought along entertainment to the party. Band members are music students at the school. Through various fundraisers inside the school, a Halloween bake sale and various ticket sales, the students managed to raise almost $1,000. Money for presents for Christmas morning. Names will be drawn to see who gets them.
Have done a lot for us in the past, and we just want to give them back, give stuff back to them.
And what's a party without treats? A few chocolates and Christmas cards.
It restores your faith in humanity. These kids, and we've seen it a lot over Christmas, our residents respond so well to youth, to young children. We've seen so many acts of kindness from children and youth throughout the Christmas season.
The seniors' appreciation of this gesture is evident, and visits from the younger ones this time of year brings back memories of their own childhoods.
I used to do them myself when I was a little girl. I loved dancing, and I still do now. And we have concerts, and the only holiday we get would be Christmas and Easter, so we enjoyed that.
Teachers at the school say 30 students put the whole project together on their own. They started a few months ago, ran with it, and did the work. Cecile, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, today is the winter solstice, the shortest day on the calendar. The sun set at 4:43 today, which means it is the longest night of the year. Residents in Kensington Market hosting their parade to mark the date. They're selling lanterns right now, and later will be parading throughout the streets to bring warmth and light to the neighborhood. And it's a perfect day to do that, isn't it, Sonia? Temperatures are mild.
They are so mild. Yes, and as you mentioned, the winter solstice starts tonight at 11:19 Eastern Time. the beginning of winter, but it's not going to feel like that in southern Ontario right now. So I did want to show you this. So thanks to Environment Canada, historically speaking, Toronto would have a 50% chance of it being a white Christmas. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that actual reality is based on the data. Currently, right now, we are at seasonal. We're usually around 0 to 1 degree this time of year. Going into the wind gusts, we have a southerly flow keeping us nice and mild, so calm winds. This is all really great news, and this is why. So we have a low pressure system that's really focused in on the north, bringing that snow to the south. Again, maybe some cloud cover in Toronto and Ottawa, but definitely 0 snow going into Sunday. Monday, much of the same. So we have a high pressure system rolling its way through to the north and through to the south, again keeping Toronto, Ottawa nice and mild, maybe, as I mentioned, some cloud cover. So what does Sunday look like? Well, Toronto 5 degrees. Tomorrow is the beginning of Hanukkah, so again, really nice shopping and travel conditions. Going into our Monday, it's going to be 7 degrees in Toronto. Again, very much above seasonal. The temperatures will dip and then rebound back going into Friday and Saturday. So the reality based on all of our current data, well, it's going to be for Toronto maybe a 20 to 30% chance that we're going to see a white Christmas. Unfortunately.
That's right. The kids don't like the odds, but
that's
oh well.
Right.
Thanks,
that's
Sonia.
Right. Thank you so much.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. Have a great night, everyone.